Welcome back to the Rasslin Report episode number 2. It is rated R for wrestling. Me, Anthony from Rated R for Wrestling, and my guy Jonesy from Jonesy Chats Wrestling. How's it going, Jonesy?
Yeah, good. Great to be here. Coming off a great Smackdown. Great to have the fans back. Yeah, it's great to be on your channel again. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, big time stuff going on, especially last night's episode of Friday Night Smackdown with the fans returning and all their glory and Roman Reigns and all that stuff, and to build up the go home edition of Friday Night Smackdown going into this Sunday's episode of Money in the Bank. So we have a lot of things to get into, a lot of stuff from the rumor mill. Spoiler alert from the start. My guy Jonesy has a lot of spoilers for you guys. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers for anything upcoming, I guess hang up your ears right there. Yeah, hear them up for yourself, and then don't listen. But we got a lot of spoilers and a lot of news and stuff to get into in this episode 2 of the Rasslin Report. So we obviously appreciate you guys for tuning in with us and joining us. Let us know in the comment section in the chat what you guys think of the rumors and all that stuff like that. And what are your opinions on all of that stuff going on in this past week of professional wrestling when it comes to WWE and AEW? So let's get to the first story here, and it's all about Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley flips the switch. So Lashley has been on a bit of a downturn recently in the past few months, especially with the whole VIP stuff, drinking with the women, all that stuff like that. He loses to Xavier Woods in the opening match of this episode of Monday Night Raw in a fluke little roll-up loss. He comes back, flips the switch, and completely changes up everything. He's trying to rekindle the what was the Almighty when we first saw him become WWE champion. So it's interesting stuff going into a match that he's got against Kofi Kingston this Sunday at Money in the Bank, and what is that going to lead to down the road, especially going to SummerSlam?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a real sort of showing of strength by Lashley at the end of Raw. Clearly, obviously, he seemed to have lost his way. He was obviously more interested in partying with women and whatever else. He has got quite a few victories over some good people like Drew this year and stuff. But for me, it was a much-needed win. I think the truth of the story as well there, if you want a truth of the story, Anthony, they didn't want to pay airfare for these women. Apparently, one of them ended up on AEW Revolution, so she's got a job already, which is a positive. Yeah. But for me, I think they don't want to pay the airfare. But great to see Lashley with more of an edge to him, that's for sure.
Definitely. He really didn't need it. He was kind of floundering a bit in the Raw roster. Again, he doesn't have many opponents in terms of good baby faces to face him, but let's see where this ends up going. And with this, we get our next segment here, and it's the Falls Count Anywhere match that happened on Monday Night Raw, which was a tremendous Falls Count Anywhere with this big spot right here.
You don't have to do this.
So we had that big spot with Ricochet going through the ladder on top of John Morrison. This is the third week in a row these guys are facing each other, but it was the best match on Monday Night Raw. And, these guys are in Money in the Bank for a reason, obviously, and it's for stuff like that. But it was a really good match. It's a good feud in terms of match quality. What comes out of this, I don't really know, though.
Yeah, I think for me, the real positive to this is the fact we're seeing Ricochet on TV every week. This guy, obviously, he's got the athleticism. WWE have never really let him do that, and the fact he's able to do spots like that, this is WWE's answer to Darby Allin. I reckon this is the closest we're going to get to Darby Allin in WWE, but great spot from Ricochet. Really enjoyed this. We've seen this match 3 times. I'm looking forward to what they do at the pay-per-view, that's for sure. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, they're going to go balls out the pay-per-view, especially with fans.
It's going to be Hardy Boy probably.
Yeah, definitely. This was going to be like, yeah. We got our first comments here. Mills Dom, what's happening? Hey, Mills, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. Also, Noob & Co, hello, how you doing? Thank you, Noob & Co, for joining us as well. Let us know your thoughts on this past week of wrestling when it comes to WWE and AEW. We have a comment here. Spoiler, Roman versus Edge and Seth Rollins interrupt. The match helped Roman to win and have Seth versus Edge at SummerSlam, and Roman versus John Cena, having Cena win his 17th world title. Thank you for that, Eddie. I hope the Cena part at the end doesn't come true, but the rest of it sounds, pretty legit, and hopefully that does happen. But I don't want to see Cena be the guy to beat Roman Reigns, to be honest with you. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, that little ending part you put there. Yeah, but thank you for your comment. Awesome stuff there. Juggernaut, hey, Justin, how you doing? How's it going, man? Noob & Co, that's a crazy match. Give us some Lucha Underground vibes. Yes, Prince Puma versus Johnny Mundo right there in that match on Monday Night Raw. But it was really good stuff between both guys in that match. Yeah, it should be pretty nuts as to what they get into. That's what their whole reason for them to be in Money in the Bank ladder match. These two guys have big spots.
Definitely. I think this is the closest we're going to get to an Attitude Era TLC match. I think this coming Sunday is going to be like that. I think what else can they do that's apart from going even higher ladders, maybe? It's going to be really fun.
Exactly. We're going to see some crazy stuff going down. But the next thing here that happened, number 3 in our list of topics, is the Prince arrives on Friday Night SmackDown. Finn Balor has shown up on Friday Night SmackDown last night, and he attacks Sami Zayn. Here's the clip of that.
Top rope for Balor. Coup de grace. Yes, it is.
So the Prince is back after a short run in NXT, which was very well done. He won his second NXT championship, lost to Karrion Kross, had a second bout with Karrion Kross that he lost. He's on SmackDown now. He attacks Sami Zayn as his first victim here. I am not hopeful for him on the main roster. You'd hope that he would be back to where he won the first Universal Championship, that era, that kind of booking, but I doubt it. I honestly think that they don't know what to do with him. Vince does not believe in him in terms of a main event talent, and I'm not super excited about him being there.
Yeah, I think for me, it's a strange decision. I really thought it'd go to Raw. Raw need the star power more, but it kind of shows you from the outgo where they think of him. He's only attacking Sami Zayn. He's not attacking Roman Reigns or somebody at the top tier, if that makes sense. But for me, it's great to see him back on WWE. I think he can do some good work. The real money with Finn Balor is the Demon. If they want to elevate him, they need to put him as the Demon. I think that's something they need to do. We obviously haven't seen Finn Balor since kind of May, where he lost twice back to back against Karrion Kross. So for me, great to see him back, but yeah, I don't know how far he's going to go. It sounds like to me he's going to be probably like around the Intercontinental title. That's about it, really.
Yeah, pretty much just meandering around the mid card for a while. You're correct though. Like, it didn't have as impactful a debut. He did get a great pop, as Mill says here. Great pop for Balor. He did get a great pop, but he's attacking Sami Zayn. It's not somebody that's high up on the card that he's coming out and immediately putting there. Eddie will go on to say there are rumors that Roman holds the title till WrestleMania 39 and lose to The Rock because WrestleMania 39 will take place in Hollywood. Makes sense to lose to his cousin. That matchup, I think that's where they're playing it. Like, that's what they're biting for. Like, that's what they're hoping to happen for, is that WrestleMania 39 matchup in LA, that new stadium in LA, have WrestleMania there, have him against The Rock. Now, does The Rock need to win that match? Obviously not. And I don't think
The Rock isn't winning that match. I can't see him doing double duty. I can't see him going more than one night. If you give him the belt, when's he going to defend it? He's not going to be on Raw the following week, probably, or the following night. For me, I think you've got more chance of it happening this coming WrestleMania next year. And I think it will be in a tag team capacity. There was obviously strong rumors going around this week. This is another rumor here that apparently, if they're concerned about the Rock's schedule because it's filming and stuff like that, they may put the Usos of it. So maybe an Uso and Roman Reigns versus an Uso and Rock may take some of the workload off. But for me, it has to be a singles match, and Roman has to win.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think Rock would personally be the one to want to win the title there. I think he would be like want to put his cousin over in that spot. Nubenko, a great run in NXT for Finn Balor. Yes, his second run in NXT was really, really well done. Really reinvigorated the character. But we'll see. Like, him on the main roster is not fun, to be honest with you. Finn Balor on Raw would be, but SmackDown would be great. It's tough. Like, I don't think he's going to be booked well on either show.
He's got the ability. It's just the problem is, where does he fit? He's not going to beat Roman Reigns, and unless they're going to start defending the Continental title every single week, it's probably one of the things where it's a tough one. But he'll have some great matches, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's gonna be, like I said, he's gonna be meander around the mid card for a while. If he gets a shot at the main title, it'd be dope, it'd be like legit for that to happen. But I don't see it actually going down that way, to be honest with you. Especially now with Roman Reigns is champion, because I don't think Vince McMahon believes in seeing Finn Balor defeat a Roman Reigns, to be honest with you.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Now, the next thing we have on our list, number 4, Reckoning and Slapjack are no more. Word on the street is that Reckoning is back to Mia Yim. Slapjack is back to Shane Thorne. You love to see it. Those two names were terrible. Retribution is terrible. Retribution is officially buried, gone, 6 feet under, and hopefully something we'll never see again, unless it's like some, list on WWE Network of the crappiest gimmicks.
Yeah, positive. Obviously, Shane Thorne was on SmackDown when the show ended. He was in a battle royal with Shane Thorne, which is great to see. Mia Yim, I don't know where she is. I've got no idea, but if she does come back, it will be Mia Yim. But great to see them gimmicks are gone, because that's what they need to do. They just need to get rid of T-Bar and Mace now on Raw, and then we may have the total riddance of Retribution, finally.
Yeah, definitely. Now, in terms of Mia Yim, I think they're going to hold off on her probably to the draft. It should be one of the draftees that somebody will draft, and she'll reappear at that point. It just makes the most sense to me, honestly. To bring her back now, so close to when you have the scheduled draft, doesn't make a ton of sense. So keep her in that mix and like on the sideline, and then eventually bring her in for the draft time. So moving through quickly, our next one, number 5, Original Plan Money in the Bank winners. I'll let Jonesy take the lead on this one.
Yeah, so the original plan to win the Money in the Bank supposedly this year, before the wrestlers got announced in the matches, the original plan, as of sort of quite recently, was John Cena. Vince McMahon wanted John Cena to come back on SmackDown last night. That was kind of the original plan, and it would have been John Cena basically getting the Money in the Bank briefcase as a mystery kind of entrant. Obviously, that may have started the Roman Reigns John Cena feud that you said earlier, but clearly they could bosh that. The fans, sort of the writing team, obviously pitched to Vince to get that cancelled. To me, it sounds like a sensible idea. We don't need John Cena with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Yep. It would be a waste. John Cena doesn't need that briefcase. It's not going to elevate him. This needs to be a tool to elevate somebody, really.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely, that wouldn't make any sense for him to come in and win that. It needs to be... I don't think it can be at this point be brought back as something that elevates guys, where like the King of the Ring elevated guys. Winning the Intercontinental title was something that elevated guys as well to that next level. It's not there for this briefcase anymore, and I don't think there's really any turning back. Eddie, I think Bobby Lashley is beating Kofi and have Brock Lesnar returning and challenge for SummerSlam. And what do you think about his long hair? All right, so the Brock Lesnar long hair thing, we saw him cutting meat. I think it was his birthday or something like that, and he was cutting meat. He seems to be partnering with a butcher shop. So it was cool. I mean, I like the look. I think it looks good on him. To be honest with you, the little ponytail, I think it's a good look for him. I think it's a solid look. I don't think he's going to come back for SummerSlam. I think Goldberg is the guy.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. That's kind of, there's quite a bit coming on that sort of later. But yeah, it's not going to be Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely not. Mia Yim is still with Keith Lee. Yes, correct. So Keith Lee is currently missing. If you watch my reviews,
he done a tweet like an hour ago saying something like, I've been in WWE 3 years. The best is yet to come or something, but I really hope to see him back.
Yeah, we'll see when he comes back. If you see my reviews of any show I've done, he's in the background of missing persons posters. Keith Lee, we haven't seen him in forever. Mia Yim is in that boat as well. But I don't think it's because Mia Yim is with Keith Lee. That's why. I think she would be at work if they wanted her to, like, they had something for her. I think they're just keeping her out because they have nothing for her, to be honest with you. Eddie, and the most important, what that WTF is happening if Brock return and face Roman, WTF, what will happen to Paul Heyman? He'd be working double duty. He'd be like, well, if he's facing Roman, Brock, he would have to choose sides, obviously. But
it would be fun.
If he wasn't, it would be fun to him pulling double duty, like Jimmy Hart has, like Bobby the Brain Heenan had, like Slick had, guys like that.
Yeah, it'd be great to see what sides he chooses. I remember last time when Paul Heyman turned on Brock and he went with the Big Show. I wonder whether we're going to get Roman be turned on, but I think Roman stays a heel. We need Paul Heyman really not to be making Roman a babyface by turning.
Yeah, definitely not. Yeah, DWE Dan, my guy DWE, very successful week for both company. Definitely was. Dan, how you doing? Thank you for joining us today in the live stream. Appreciate it, brother. Let's get to the next thing. So we had original Money in the Bank, planned Money in the Bank winners. Davey Boy Jr. had a dark match on SmackDown. Before SmackDown was a dark match, Davey Boy Jr. was there. Is he back with the company?
Yeah, he signed again. He apparently signed back in March. His dark match was with NXT superstar Austin Theory. They faced Odyssey Jones and his son Quinn, also known as Daniel Vito. Great to see Davey Boy Smith Jr. I think it's great to see a British edition. Don't know where he'll be, whether that will be kind of NXT UK, maybe the way to do it. But as you noticed by Pat McAfee did a big Davey Boy Smith quote during the Power Slam, which kind of fits. So obviously he's coming back soon. Yeah,
hopefully he does. I mean, it's cool. It'd be cool to have him back. It's just an awesome thing, right? Let's bring him back into the company because obviously his father and all that stuff like that. Next thing on the list here is Mandy Rose. She showed up on NXT. It's a picture of her. She showed up on NXT this past Wednesday. What's the story with Mandy Rose? Is she officially part of NXT? Did she get traded for Aaliyah?
Yeah, that's correct. So obviously Mandy Rose is going from full-time from Raw to NXT. Aaliyah's going the other way around. Apparently Vince McMahon went to the Performance Center. He saw Aaliyah, was impressed by her. I don't know why Mandy Rose is going, but apparently it seems really, really strange. Obviously Aaliyah's been in developmental since 2015. She's never really kind of done much, but good luck to her. I hope it works out. The strange thing about this is they've obviously been building many months this kind of tag team feud between Natalia Tamina versus Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. And that's obviously probably not going to pay off now. But good luck to Mandy Rose. Be interested to see what they do. But it's great to see a talent trade. I think we should do this more often. WWE have talent trade and just not at pivotal times like when there's matches still to happen.
Yeah, and it sucks for Dana Brooke in the end because, like, where does she fall in all this? She was part of a tag team, part of a program, at least on their weekly for the most part, on both shows sometimes. So it sucks for her, to be honest with you, because she said like she had something going. It sucks. So if this is official that she's officially in NXT, sucks for Dana Brooke. Again, Aaliyah hasn't done anything in NXT since being there. So why bring her up? Not sure what they have planned for her. Not sure. I don't see anything. I think she's going to be a body there.
Being controversial, do we see her maybe being added to Jinder stable or some sort of Arab type stable or something? Maybe she could be a part of that. I don't really know whether that would work, but it would give Jinder some sort of female hand anyway in his stable.
It could. I mean, it would make sense in the end if they decided to do it, because you would have the tag team. It would be him as a single star, the tag team behind them, and then the woman for the female for the women's division. So it makes sense if you want to do like a faction in that sort of sense. It would make a ton of sense there. But it would be interesting to see. Again, it sucks for Dana Brooke where she ends up in all this. Kind of bad. And then like what other tag team is there? I think it's Shotzi and Knox are the one taking the spot of Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke.
Yeah, I think they've done a great job building them up though. I know it's only been week 2, but they look solid. 2 big wins over the champions. number one contenders now. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Maybe these are the people to get the belt. I think they're gonna get the belt.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think so as well. Even though I hate the fact that they shorten the names, 2 weeks in a row is Shotzi and Knox. Can't stand it. Eddie says, I think Paul Heyman will turn on Reigns. I mean, Paul Heyman turned on all. Remember CM Punk at Money in the Bank 2014 or 2013? He turned on him. Yeah, I mean, yeah, eventually, because like it's a problem though, right? So like if they don't want to stretch managers, they don't want to have managers, do double duties and stuff like that, which I wish they would. It would make sense if they have two guys on separate shows where Paul Heyman was managing both of them. So if Brock returned to Raw, he would be on Raw and he'd be on SmackDown, Paul Heyman, and running double duty. Or if they're on the same show and they're just not fighting each other, it'd be pretty cool to see him come out twice more often like that. I like that stuff because it's an old school vibe to it. Like I said, Bobby Heenan, Jimmy Hart, Slick, guys like that. They've always done that. They have multiple people under their umbrella of managerialship, and they'll come out with them multiple times. Nubico, Mandy Rose might manage Saray.
Yeah, I don't see her as a manager. Like, I think for me, they're going to push her as a singles wrestler. I think, but just to see whether she's got that rub because of her experience on WWE. But yeah, I see her sort of maybe they may put her involved in that whole Frankie Monet stable type thing. But it's unclear really at this point whether she's a baby face or heel. That wasn't really kind of clear from NXT this week.
Makes a ton of sense because obviously, if you look at her, she's not going to be a manager. She's too attractive to be a manager. They want her to be in the ring and be a performer and be a superstar so they can market. They're not going to market a manager. So I don't think she go the managerial route. Eddie, last question. What do you think will happen if Roman versus Karrion Kross versus Bobby Lashley and winner take all match? That means all three titles, one man. I mean, that would be like an awesome ass like WrestleMania main event, right? Like for like if they just wanted to do that, like how you get the belts off of that guy afterwards would be pretty interesting. I would see more likely Universal versus WWE to kind of unify them. But that'd be pretty cool. I mean, to be honest, those three guys in the ring, if they're all three champions at the same time, or whoever three champions they are, no matter who they are, it'd be pretty cool to have all three guys there, a winner take all type of thing. How would you
be a dream match?
Was after the fact and get the titles off of them? Pretty interesting.
Definitely, I think for me, Bobby Lashley's the one that's getting pinned out of them too. I'll put that over now. Roman Reigns is probably winning, but Bobby will be the one that takes the pinfall. But yeah, looks really kind of good. I think let's hope that would happen one day. It'd be a really great dream match almost if it did.
It really would. It would be super awesome if they did that. Now, let's get to number 8 on our list of topics. Lashley's SummerSlam opponent info. Jonesy.
Yeah, this is very, very spoiler heavy. So if you are sort of not wanting to know who Lashley's going to face at SummerSlam, yeah, just maybe mute for the minute. Yeah, so obviously it's come out in the last sort of 48 hours. Lashley's opponent at SummerSlam is going to be Goldberg. They couldn't get Brock Lesnar. They had a terrible difficulty trying to get an opponent for Lashley, supposedly. They even thought about going back to Undertaker. The problem is, obviously, they haven't built anybody up to be ready for this spot. They didn't want to give it to Kofi again. So it will be Goldberg and Lashley. Expect that to start on Monday. So Monday's Raw, Goldberg will be back.
There you go. With fans being back for the first Monday Night Raw and fans in over 70 weeks, as they kept saying, Michael Cole kept saying on SmackDown, it's been over 70 weeks since they had fans on either of these shows. So it's going to be cool to see. I mean, if you hate Goldberg, you're going to be upset by this. To be honest with you, I think it's okay. I mean, you don't have anybody else. Like, you haven't built anybody. If SummerSlam wasn't a stadium show in the spot where it's at on a Saturday night in Las Vegas at the Legion Stadium, brand new stadium from last year, I would expect somebody else. But if it's that stadium show, SummerSlam, you got to go with the biggest name possible. And if you can't get Brock Lesnar, I guess Goldberg is the second guy on your list, to be honest.
I think it'd be okay. I think it'd be a great spectacle, but yeah. I just hope that it's short. Like, I don't think it needs to be a long match by all means, but we'll see what happens.
Do you think Lashley wins or does Goldberg win?
We're going to go into that later as well. So I will answer your question. We'll go into that later.
We'll go into that one later. Now, Interesting comment here. Great show, guys. Here's a comment from me for you to read. You're welcome.
He's still angry because I made him watch Raw. That's what that is.
There you go. That's this issue right there. Yeah. What's up, Zach? Thanks for joining us, man. Eddie, dude, Lashley have two options for SummerSlam, either Goldberg or Lesnar or Cena. There's nobody else. Yeah, I mean, there was nobody else. Like, there's nobody built up to take that spot with Lashley. You've seen Drew McIntyre 75,000 times, so it's not going to go with that. Kofi, as much as you love Kofi, he's just not generally at that level, maybe to be in that spot, or the perception is that he's not at that level to be in that spot.
I think they should have brought Finn Balor back like 2 months ago, and I think that would have been the point. Really, you could have had Demon versus Lashley. That would have been an easy way out. But
or kind of like a rematch. They faced each other at WrestleMania. I think it was 35.
But then you do the Demon, didn't you? That's the thing. You make it that.
It was Demon.
Okay.
Versus him. So they could just kind of run it back, maybe, or something like that too.
Maybe.
There's ways to go about it, but the spectacle of the Demon is what attracts you to that era.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Dan will go on and say Goldberg will be a good match for Lashley. It's a big money match. Definitely. It's a big money match. I mean, it'll be the kind of the bookmark of maybe his title run. To be honest with you.
I think if he could beat Goldberg, I think that will really go a long way to further elevate him. And I think it'll be really kind of good. Obviously, Goldberg's match versus Drew was really, really good, which surprised me. I think it'll be a fun match, but it'll certainly be great to see Goldberg back on TV and how that plays off. It'll
be interesting though, more for me, like I think the match will be solid, to be honest. I think it'll be a solid if it's quick, if it's under 10 minutes, it's hard hitting, fast paced match. I think it works out. And if Goldberg doesn't knock himself out during it, I think we're okay in the match. Yeah. The issue is the promos leading up as to why it's happening. Remember when he took on Drew McIntyre, his promo leading up was that, oh, you're disrespecting legends or whatever you think were has-beens. He never did. He was the babyface Drew McIntyre. He never made fun of legends, never disrespected any legends. So it didn't make any sense. Randy Orton was the guy doing that. He was punting all these other legends. So that storyline didn't make any sense leading up to the match. The match was solid. So hopefully this storyline makes a little bit more sense. Hopefully Goldberg's promos are a little bit more on point. He's never been much of a promo guy, but we'll see going forward if that, because like that's really where you get your teeth sunk into it. If it's built as just, oh, two names, who the hell cares about promos, who the hell cares about the storyline, I think people will kind of crap on it more. But if you get some type of interesting storyline behind it, I think people get behind it a little bit more than now.
I really think Lashley needs to act more heelish, like keep on doing what he did on Raw. I think just start having a go at MVP, start treating MVP as a lackey or something, really start getting the fans down, putting the fans down, and then ultimately Goldberg needs to be a hero really that's maybe coming to MVP's rescue to a certain point. Maybe they'll do something like that.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, something different. You know, that's all they want. For me, Lashley versus Orton would have been good.
That would have been good.
It would have been solid, yeah. It definitely would have. Orton, I have no idea. Any word on where Orton has been the past few weeks.
I know that at the moment he sort of went away, and he's gone away with some sort of issue. I know it's something that they can't declare, but I think it's a personal kind of issue.
Okay.
I don't want to speculate and say sort of where he's gone, but I hope he's back soon. It'd be great to see him sort of back at the pay-per-view, really, hopefully, like in some capacity. But whatever's gone wrong, I hope he's all right, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Eddie, I'm interested in Randy versus Lashley, and we can have Orton win his 50 world title and get close to break the Flair record. Yeah, I've always heard that one of the plans was to get Orton and Cena to that mark of just about to break it, and then have them have a match against each other for that title to see who breaks the record. I've always heard that, like the rumors, like that's maybe like a thing that they would always kind of push for. Could it ever happen? I don't know.
I don't know if you're going to get John Cena in the company for long enough to be able to win the title and trade it with Randy Orton. But it'd be good if it did. It'd be a good match, certainly.
Yeah, definitely would. It would be an awesome match if they ended up doing that. Nubico, good match between Goldberg and Lashley. Yeah, I think it'll be, like I said, if they keep it short, sweet, to the point, I think it'll be a good, solid match. Like I said, he performed well against Lesnar at WrestleMania. He performed well against McIntyre at, where was that? Royal Rumble. He's had some matches in between, obviously the Undertaker match and the Braun Strowman, not much to write home about, but it kind of is what it is at that point.
Definitely.
Now, where are we? We got Lashley. Okay. Number 9, the man to be at Money in the Bank. So it's already been reported that she will be at least backstage some capacity at Money in the Bank. Now, I do hate when WWE does this stuff. They obviously want to give people like major news outlets the breaking news so they can report it. It seems bigger. It makes WWE seem like actual sport, like actual, like up there with other sports. But I'm always been a fan of just kind of, you're not really trying to pop a rating here. So just have it as a surprise. Why announce it beforehand?
Yeah, I think that's a big mistake, announce it beforehand. But for me, I really hope they don't bring it on camera. I think for me, you don't need to really bring her on camera. Save her for Raw on Monday, where she'll probably face the winner of the Rhea Charlotte match at SummerSlam. So I think that's sort of something to do. Clearly, she's one of the most exciting people that people are excited about seeing back. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with her. It's one of the things you don't want to rush it, because this could be really, really good if it's done well.
Yeah. Now, if you watch my predictions for Money in the Bank, I was along with Dan and Mex. Mex said he believes wholeheartedly that after the match is over between Charlotte and Rhea, that Becky Lynch will come out and make her stake her claim as to who she's going to go on and face. So whoever wins that match is probably going to get the man coming out afterwards and kind of walking up to him.
Yeah, I think it'll be kind of interesting to see how that sort of plays out. You've got to give the crowd a buzz. Her being there would be a massive buzz. So yeah, I'd like to kind of see that, but it just depends. The thing is, if you're going to have potentially Sasha Banks back next week as well, do you want to do both Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks returns in the same kind of time period? I think it's a bit sort of crazy, really, to do that. I think you should save it 1 week after another, really.
True story. Yeah, if you want to do it like that, you could as well. Which leads us directly into our next segment. Becky Lynch Mania Dream match in the works. Go ahead, Jones. Let me know about this one.
This is a very much a long shot. So the plan for Becky Lynch, apparently what they're trying to work on is WrestleMania 39. They are looking at Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey. That's something they really want to do. There's great sort of history with that. Obviously, there was that kind of teasing before as well. And for me, I think if that happens, that could be one of the biggest matches. Clearly, there's been great interest in Becky Lynch, like not just in WWE, movies and everything like that. She's going to be one of the most marketable people in WWE. So I can see her sort of going on to bigger things. And I think a match against Ronda Rousey after the pregnancy and stuff like that, I think it could be a fun one for the fans. Would you like to see that match?
Yeah, I like to see them run it back because remember, we were supposed to get that match, but they decided to throw Charlotte Flair into it. So she kind of threw like a monkey wrench into it. People were kind of upset about that. So get them have their one-on-one and go that way and then finally get it out the way. But the only issues are running up to you have time because, you know, Becky Lynch has had her child already. Ronda will be due way before that, obviously. And, so they can obviously like work back to get to that point. So it makes sense. I would be down to see it. If they do it, it would have to main event the show.
Yeah, I think it'd have to main event. I think it's one of them things once in a lifetime. I'm going to put you on the spot now, Anthony. Who wins the match?
It has to be Becky.
Yeah, it has to be Becky. I think
it's like Ronda's not long term. That's the whole problem with her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Becky to win, and then who does she face next? That's the thing. I think there could be other money matches that you could do maybe down the line, but I think Becky and Sasha could be fun. Like I think that would be a really good match, and even Becky Bianca Belair could be really good down the line as well.
Yeah, exactly. If they want to do that, like for me, I always wanted them to kind of unify those women's. I don't think the women's roster on the main roster is deep enough to have two separate divisions, two separate belts on each show. I felt like I've always been a fan of the NWA style where the champion travels around the territories. So I've always felt like instead of splitting the two titles in two, have one, he goes around. So like if Reigns is the main champion, he's beefing with somebody on SmackDown. That means on Monday Night Raw, the secondary title on Monday Night Raw becomes the main event title because the champion's not there. So I feel like if they're not going to do it with the men's, do it with the women. They don't have a big enough roster for the women to do it. And it's not deep enough, to be honest with you, on the main roster. So have one champion for the women and have her travel from show to show. I think that's just the way they do it. Because I think at this point with the two separate titles, the rosters, the talent pool is kind of a little bit on the weak side.
Yeah, it is definitely. I agree. I think that could be a real good move. And I think you could also bring up something like Raquel Gonzalez as well if you want to unify the NXT title as well.
Yeah, exactly. You could do that. Yeah, exactly. All right, so we'll get back to the comments really quick. Eddie would say, guys, big question. WrestleMania 38 will take place in Dallas. Do you think Steve Austin will come for not a big match? I don't think a big match. I think he'll be there. He'll probably stunner somebody and drink some beers because it's in Dallas. I definitely think that will go down. Like I was there for 32 Dallas. I was in the arena for that one, the stadium. He was there. He came out with Mick Foley and Shawn Michaels. I think he fought the League of Nations, that terrible group, and then the New Day. So I think he'll do something in that aspect again.
I really thought sort of back when we had CM Punk that would get stuck on Steve Austin CM Punk match that never obviously happened.
Yeah.
But for me, I think Steve Austin, his time in life, I don't see him back in a match, but it'd be great if he's there for a spot, like particularly for a stunner or something. I could see that. Definitely agreed.
Yeah, I definitely think that's what he's doing. Like he said himself that he is not going to come back if it's not something that's worth it. Like it has to be a storyline worth it and something like that. And he has to be able to perform. I think he's way past that point. I don't think he's coming back ever in an in-ring capacity. Kavion Martin, how you doing, Kavion? Thank you for joining us. They're probably going to do a triple threat match at SummerSlam, Rhea versus Charlotte versus Becky. Totally agree with him in that point. Totally.
Sensible. I think that's got to happen. I think the fact that you're having this Rhea and Charlotte match month after month, I think put Becky in there. It's a fresh match again, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's totally on point, Kavion. And also, it's a very safe move by WWE to run that match for their biggest show of the year. Like after WrestleMania, this is the biggest show right now. Before Rumble, it's going to be this one, unless Survivor Series and in a massive stadium as well. It's going to be this match, the SummerSlam show. That's going to be their biggest show of the year. Newman Cole, well, we got a storyline between Asuka and Becky. That is true. Good point by Newman Cole there. That's a good point because remember, she did give up the title because she was pregnant to the Money in the Bank holder in Asuka. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's great sort of continuity, but I don't know if WWE will even play on that. The problem is you've got Becky Lynch is probably a babyface. Oscar's a babyface. Oscar's not going to then go and attack Becky. Or vice versa. I don't really see that happening. I think they're in different tangents. I think you've got sort of Becky coming in at the top. Oscar's like about here now, unfortunately.
That is true. Unless Asuka goes away for a while, unless they don't do the storyline immediately and Asuka goes away for 6 months, she comes back as a heel, then you can kind of run it back.
It'd be good. It'd be a great match, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You could do the video package because there's a story built in there. But I mean, even though it's a story of like happiness of kindness, you can still do something with it, I think, if she comes back at that. Eddie, in the end, Asuka will win again the title and we'll have her against Becky at WrestleMania 38 and Becky win. All right, so he's booking it for the main event of this upcoming WrestleMania. Asuka wins title and then Becky faces her, Asuka, to take title off her.
Sounds good. I don't know if that will happen, but you've also got Rhea Ripley in the meantime. You've also got Charlotte Flair and other people there as well. It'll be fun if it happens. That's for sure.
Definitely would. It would be an awesome thing if they decided to do it. Obviously, again, I think Asuka would have to be a heel at the time for it to make it work, that match go down. All right, so with Becky Lynch's dream match in the works done, next thing on the list, AEW rumored surprises. Something you brought up to me, Jonesy, so you run point on this one.
Yeah, so obviously there's been a lot of talk from kind of Tony Khan this week. Tony Khan apparently is lined up to sort of have big surprises. He has come out and kind of said something that no one's aware of the surprises that are going to happen in this stuff. We can speculate what they are. I can speculate. I can't say factually what they are, but put them out there. There's only one or two really I think he can do that are going to do something like talking point. The dream one for me would be CM Punk. That for me, I'd love to see happen. If it's going to happen, it's got to happen soon. It'll be one that's going to get people talking. The more realistic option is probably going to be a Braun Strowman or Daniel Bryan, really, I think. I think either one of them signings, it does add to the growing AEW roster. I know you said before on other podcasts that they've got too many wrestlers, but that's the only type of people, the only type of signings I can see him getting. I don't see him getting anybody in WWE at the moment. I feel a lot of them probably are under contract, so I'd have thought who they want.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's got to be like, if it's not, I think at this point, if it's anything other than CM Punk or Daniel Bryan, it's gonna be a disappointment to everybody.
Daniel Bryan's a huge sign if they pull that off, though.
It's massive. That's massive. I don't think they're gonna get it off, though. To be honest with you, I don't think that one is gonna be the one they're gonna get off. Now, why do they need another signee after they just brought in Christian Cage? They just brought in Andrade El Idolo. They got Malachi Black now. What's the point? Then recently coming off of that, you had Big Show, you had Mark Henry, and even though they're announcers, but Mark Henry's still talking about getting in the ring. Big Show as well. I mean, to be honest, like that roster is massive, and they're only getting Rampage. I think it's an hour-long show, correct? I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Rampage, obviously, not much. I don't know much about it, but obviously, it's going to be on a Friday night. Is it head-to-head with SmackDown in certain parts? You maybe have to tell me that. I'm not too sure.
I think it's going to happen after SmackDown. I think it's going to be a 1 hour from 10 to 11, so it's going to take place after. I don't think they want to go head-to-head with Roman Reigns, to be honest with you, on SmackDown. But it doesn't make a ton of sense. Like, why do they need more people on this roster? Now, if it's going to be another person that comes out, and it's not an in-ring person, then I guess okay. But okay, so let me get to this comment here. Nero Win. Nero, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. He says they have another show coming in August. They got to get more talent. But how long is the other show? The other show, if it's only an hour long, and if they're going to split the rosters, that I understand. But I don't think they are. I think it's going to be the continuation of the same thing. They got a lot of guys. I mean, you have Dark Elevation, and not many people watch compared to the actual product of AEW. So you have Dark Elevation get like what on YouTube, maybe 300 to 400,000 views over time each episode. Dynamite gets 1 million. So it's not everybody that watches Dynamite watches Dark Elevation. It's a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of guys are going to get lost. A lot of guys are going to disappear for a while. And I think that's just going to continue to happen.
Yeah, I think for me, it just seems to be that it's very TNA-like, isn't it? Going out and getting XW cast-offs that. But I think if you can get a Daniel Bryan or a CM Punk is the one for me. He's the one that I'm surprised WWE haven't tried to get, because he's one that I think can certainly get many more people watching AEW. Not that they need people to kind of watch the product. They're in a really good place. They've got some fantastic in-ring action. The storylines are pretty good. It's not a bad show, I think. I really like it, AEW. I think it's really well done. But I think if it's just Braun Strowman, I don't know what that adds to AEW.
He's definitely not an AEW guy, Braun Strowman. Definitely not. Yeah, that's the problem right there. Like, he's definitely not an AEW guy. Now, Nero will go say they have to split the roster out. They have to. I mean, it's a big ass roster. If Rampage is a 2-hour show, it's huge. They have so much content in terms of what they have. They have Dark Elevation, they have Dynamite, they'll have Rampage. Not everybody watches all of it. It's a tough ask to have that many people. I want to get to a couple other comments. But let me get to this one first, because it applies directly to what I'm saying here. The WWE, Dan, I think it's smart, the AEW buying mass talent. Look how they rotate their roster. Look, Road Rager, Fyter Fest, completely different cards, almost keeps things fresh. That's a very good point, but I also think it hurts a lot of guys that just disappear, like guys like Pac, guys like Lance Archer, who disappears and has a new feud like 3 days later, stuff like that. They've had this issue where guys go away for a long time, like for me, Shawn Spears and Scorpio Sky were the disappearing men of AEW. They'd have a feud. It would last maybe like a week or two. They disappear. They come back. They have another feud, disappear, and come back. Like, when's the last time you saw Scorpio Sky? It's all been all about Ethan Page. It's a lot of guys on the roster.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys on the roster. There is one other point I can make, Anthony. If you are going to go and sign a Daniel Bryan CM Punk, Kenny Omega needs time off. He's injured. We said that last week on last week's episode that Kenny Omega needs time off. Maybe they need someone to replace Kenny Omega. That's the only thing I can think of. But for me, I think the AEW signings have been inspiring, but none of them have shocked me like the John Moxley signing. That's the biggest one they've been able to get so far. I think if they get a Daniel Bryan or CM Punk, it maybe even eclipses John Moxley in terms of a signing. It is a big signing, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely it would. In terms of just a name value and what would it bring, yeah, definitely. That's an interesting one. Eddie would say Brock Lesnar and Goldberg team up in AEW equals everyone on the roster dead. True story. That would be it, especially Brock, because Brock is like the most legit guy there is. Nubico, Braun Strowman, Daniel Bryan, or Murphy should be a big surprise.
I think you can take Murphy out. Like I'd say take Murphy out of that list.
In terms
Murphy
of name, yeah. In terms of name,
not name. I think he's going to Impact Wrestling. I know they've been after him. They've got like they're really kind of after him. So I think Murphy will be going Impact Wrestling. But Daniel Bryan for me is the one out of the three you've said. I think Daniel Bryan is the one that I can't believe WWE let go. Really, he's got so much talent, and he can do some real sort of good, put in some good ratings for them, even further ratings than they've got already.
I think so as well, but I do think he's going to stay in WWE, to be honest with you. I think WWE has the relationship there built in. They may give him something. They may give him time off where like he can't sign an exclusive contract anywhere, but he can show up in other places except AEW type of stuff, something like that, you know? They may give him something like that. Question about CM Punk. If he returns at Royal Rumble 2022, do you think he will beat Edge return at 2020? Oh, you mean the pop?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah,
I don't see him doing a full-time schedule. That's the thing. If he's there for Mania season stuff like that, who does he feud with though, Anthony? I'll let you book it. You do a lot of booking on your channel. I watch quite a lot of your videos. They're quite good. Who would you book CM Punk in as a WrestleMania feud for next year if you could do it?
Well, first thing I want to say is that it's mostly, I think, me, because I've soured on him personally over the past few years, that I wouldn't pop as hard for him as I did for Edge, but he may get a bigger pop. Now, if he comes back and if he wins the Royal Rumble, you immediately have to put him in a feud with Roman Reigns. I think Mike-wise, it's the only comparable back and forth, because you have Heyman there if he's still around with Roman Reigns. It's built in already with a CM Punk and Heyman thing. So he's torn. You can have Heyman torn between two guys. You torn between his tribal chief and torn be him the voice of the voiceless, the guy who he was with for 400 and some odd days as he was the champion. You could do that. I think it'll be a tremendous storyline between the two. I think the realness aspect of how CM Punk tends to always break that fourth wall in his promos and bring out backstage stuff, and I think Roman will do the same. I think Roman is such a savage at this point in terms of his personality and the way he portrays himself on television, such a savage that I think the promos between the two would be so to the point where you're kind of thinking to yourself, like, damn, are these guys going off script right now? And are they really going at each other?
I love that. I love that when that happens in wrestling. There's nothing better than when you're watching a show and you're thinking, is this part of the show? I know we all know it's meant to be a soap opera for men. We all know all this stuff. But when you get these question marks like the pipe bomb and stuff like that, I wish they could do that all the time. Really. Well,
the most amazing thing is like you see that happen, and afterwards you're kind of like, it's part of the show. But let me look at the dirt sheets real quick, see if like what story behind that. Like, did he say something that he got in trouble for? Did he get the okay by somebody else and not Vince? And that's why he came on and said it. So that's the stuff you want to add to it. And I think that would be the only logical reasoning for CM Punk to come back to WWE, win a Rumble or something like that, and have a big moment, would be to face Roman Reigns because of that aspect of it. I think both of them on the mic being both alphas in terms of when they're in the ring. They will come at each other to no lengths will they come at each other and stuff. The stuff they will say, especially CM Punk, because he can get kind of surly on the mic, right? He has a big chip on his shoulder. I think he can come in and remember the whole Shield. He's the one that said he came up with the idea. So you can come up with that as well in a storyline between Roman and CM Punk. CM Punk can say, look, you're the reason you're here is because I came up with the Shield. I didn't even want you in it. They wanted to put you in it. So there's a lot of stuff they could throw in there. I'll be honest with you. There's a ton of stuff.
I really like it. I'm going to really struggle to follow up. If I was doing it, I can't compete with that. But I'd love to see CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre or CM Punk versus Edge. I think they could be good. But CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, I think if you have CM Punk as an arrogant heel, Drew McIntyre with his back to what we love, the promos that he does that are really, really good, like the actual good ones on the push, I think that could be a fun match. But yeah, the Roman versus CM Punk match would be incredible. That's the one that I'd love to see.
Yeah, I think at that point, it's just like you get this guy to finally come back in ring. It's got to be the alpha versus the omega kind of thing. Like that's got to be the top thing. All right, so let's get to the comments section again. Nero says, I feel like more guys also means less work for everyone, meaning less injuries, burnout, etc. Yes, they're also not traveling like WWE, so that plays a factor into that as well. They're mainly just television company. They're not really traveling, I don't think. And you know, they're not really like traveling circus. We're having house shows, untelevised shows, stuff like that. Most of the stuff is all televised or on YouTube. But that also plays a role into it too. They want to give guys less dates, meaning they pay them less, I would assume, for those less dates. They wouldn't do a WWE where you get these WCW where you get this guaranteed big ass contract for a small amount of dates. I don't think they would do that. I think they pay them, you know, less because they work less dates. So that could play a factor as well. Less injuries, guys are a little bit fresher physically. Eddie, question about CM Punk. If you return it, okay, we did that one already. I'm sorry. DW wouldn't rule out Kurt Angle. What do you think about that as an AEW surprise?
It would be fun, but I think for me, you got to have him as a general manager. This guy, he said repeatedly online that he can't go. He's injured. His body's broken down. But put him as a GM, he could be fun. Like, I think he could be a good addition.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you see him physically, like I've seen him in person, like in front of my eyes, and he doesn't look like he's that healthy physically. He's still in tremendous shape, but in terms of wrestling and stuff like that, I don't think he could just, you know, continuously do it unless they give him a Sting role. I guess he gets something like that. Maybe. Like there's a couple matches here and there, but that's pretty much it. Nero, All Out is in Chicago. Punk is from Chicago. Great one night only appearance would be great for AEW's cred. That's an interesting take because they've done it before, and the rumors were that he was going to show up before. But I think he was at StarCast, or he did like a pro wrestling team signing.
Thing.
Yeah, right. So there was the rumors. Weekend. So there was rumors of that, right? So I mean, they could do that, but a one night thing. What do you think about that?
It could be fun, like, but what do you do after the one night? Although it'll get everybody talking, you want to get something that's going to boost your company. I think him being there for one night, it's a nice moment. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it will move AEW forward long term. They need him there, not every single week. They need him there for the pay per views. I think
really. They do, yeah, because I think the ratings he'll bring in general and the stuff he'll bring in going forward, I think maybe it might be better off than just a one night only. But I mean, they could go with one night only and just kind of shock everybody and have that talk for the next like 3 months. It's just like, remember when he showed up there type of thing. Eddie, what about Hell John Cena versus Hell Edge? This will be amazing in Hell in a Cell no holds barred match. Yeah, I mean, you could do it. I mean, like, it'd be interesting to see. I would love to see Cena and Edge go back at it. Remember, because I love their feud from 06, 07, that time period. It was awesome feud. I think they could go back with it. It'd be fun. It'd be fun if now Edge throws Cena into the Long Island Sound instead of, you know, the reverse of when Cena threw Edge into it, into that river. So it'd be pretty fun if they did that. Jody Best Wrestling TV. I really want. Oh, I'm saying I think he's replying to somebody. I'm sorry. Rich Swan and Willie Mack to win the Impact Tag Team Championship. If they do, I party all night.
I guess it's Slammiversary tonight, so yeah, maybe we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. CM Punk is the only man that the WWE who can have big pops like Steve Austin. I mean, if he comes out like that in the beginning, I think so. But the pops.
I think Roman Reigns is getting that already. That's what I've got to say. He's getting the pops of Austin at the moment.
Well, I mean,
as a heel.
I can't compare anything to the Austin pop, to be honest with you. Like for
WWE now in 2021, this is the closest we're going to get. I
guess, yeah. If you're kind of adjusting for inflation type of thing, like, yeah, you kind of put it at that point. Yeah, you're not going to get that.
Are you?
I mean, that's a you know, just a viral pop that you would get from Austin when that glass broke. Everybody in the entire stadium is just jumping up and down. It's a totally different thing. But he will get massive pops, to be honest with you. Fun fact, if Rich Swann and Willie Mack win the Impact Tag Team Championships, Rich Swann will be the first African-American Triple Crown winner in Impact Wrestling. That's one hell of an achievement. I thought they would have had, somebody would have done that already, but that's awesome if he does it. Yes, shout out to Rich Swann. What do you call it? Okay, so I really hope Rich Swann and Willie Mack win the tag team titles. Impact Tag Team Champions. They're the longest reigning tag team in Impact Wrestling, and Impact Wrestling right now, they deserve it. Hopefully they do. I mean, to be honest with you, but like, yeah, that'd be cool for him to be the first African American Triple Crown in Impact. That'd be cool. That's cool stuff for him to do that major achievement. All right, so with AEW rumored surprises out of the way, we have 2 more topics to cover. Second one, this next one, number 12, the Madman Darby Allin. You saw what he did on AEW Fyter Fest against Ethan Page in that coffin match. The margin for error on that coffin drop through the coffin is just so minuscule. The guy is an absolute maniac. If you remember, he goes through the whole coffin and you see the little edges of the coffin have like wood things sticking out of it. If he would have landed, I would have broke his back.
Yeah, I think for me, we've said it before. I know you said it on your stream as well. Darby Allin is Mick Foley of 2021. This guy, he's not going to have a long career. This guy is insane. The amount of bumps he does, he puts everything to kind of shame. I think it's great to see, but does he go too far? That's the thing. He obviously knows what he's doing, but I think sometimes it's just too far. But that was a crazy bump on AEW the other day. I just can't believe they did it. The risk of injury for Ethan Page as well, like it's just nuts.
It is nuts. It's wild. It's really crazy stuff. Now he's making up for his lack of stature and size by doing all this crazy stuff.
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I ask you a controversial question? Do we see Darby Allin becoming like a Mick Foley, and ending up by doing such crazy bumps and getting over the fans that he ends up being the sort of AEW world champion to that point? Does he get that overness like Mick Foley did back in the day? Because Mick Foley basically became the world champion because he took them bumps.
To be honest with you, I think he's already past. Like his situation is different than Mick Foley because Mick Foley really had to endear himself to the crowd by doing that. This guy was already over by the time he already showed up. So that's the only difference I see. Now, if it was a different company, maybe him leaving this company, so like him leaving AEW as if when Cactus Jack left WCW and ECW to come WWE type of thing, maybe that and him, and like I could never picture him as a WWE champion, but an AEW champion, yeah, I think it's easy for him to win that. But if you were to leave the company, move over, and then be seen as that, but get over by all his crazy ass bumps, almost killing himself. Now, interesting question for you. How long does his career last? How many years do you give him starting today?
I think 2 or 3 years. Like he's just going so crazy. What is it going to be next? Is he going to be jumping off a roof or something? It's just one of them things where it's very CZW, Combat Zone Wrestling like for me. I'm a massive fan of what he does. You've got to respect that he's putting his body on the line. I enjoy his character and stuff, but he's going to become a spot merchant. Like Mick Foley had this problem when he went off the Hell in a Cell at the King of the Ring. He can never top it. You can't top it because you're going crazy and crazy. Once he goes off the roof or somewhere, what else can he do? That's kind of the thing. Other than injure himself.
Well, that's like the interesting question in wrestling, right? That's like always the question people say is how far do you go that you can't go any further with it? So like you keep doing all these crazy moves, you got to keep continuously top yourself. That's why so many ladder matches, so many Hell in a Cell matches, they get watered down because how much more can you actually do? Everything's been done already. So for him, a guy like him, he's probably thinking in the back of his mind, everything's been done. So I basically got to come this close to killing myself to, get a pop.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, we're very lucky he does them type of moves. It's very nostalgic for me looking at it, but I want to see him do it against the top wrestlers. I think, no offense, Ethan Page is a great wrestler, but he's not the Kenny Omega in the division, is he? Let's be fair.
Yeah, I think so as well. It makes a ton of sense. This is an interesting one from Nero right here. Darby will be able to get over because of his underdog factor. Yes, that is true. The underdog factor is there because he's always kind of fighting from underneath, trying to get over the top of the hump, and then pull out a crazy ass move to kind of get the win. So yeah, he's always got that going for him. But I think he's very niche. Like he's very like niche. Hardcore wrestling fans are big Darby Allin fans. Maybe not the other stuff. The other guys like the mainstream fans might not be too into him.
I agree.
Here we go. Nero say, I feel like the rumors about Cena coming back are bad. It's like WWE have any other move than bring a part-timer in for nostalgia pops. I don't think it's that, Nero. I think it's just they have nobody else to actually fill that role for a big match against a Roman Reigns type. They haven't built anybody. That's on WWE. They have not built anybody to be at that level where they have to kind of bring in a part-timer to get the marquee for a stadium.
Do you think that's down to them not having a crowd, that they can't tell who's going to be over, or do you think it's just down
I think it
to
hurts. I think it hurts. I think it does hurt. I think it's two things. I think it hurts that there's no fans, so they can't gauge the crowd reaction and kind of go off of that. But it's also who Vince McMahon likes.
I think it's going to be really exciting sort of on Monday to see how the fans react to Raw, certain wrestlers and stuff, because you got to look at like people like Matt Riddle. They've got to be getting over the fans.
Yeah. That's what I'm interested to see Matt Riddle. Yeah, how he gets over.
Definitely 100%.
Because like we'll get a taste of it at Money in the Bank, right? Like who's kind of over, who isn't. Like is Matt Riddle over? Is Drew McIntyre over? You'll get a taste of this going into it.
It'll be good.
He literally did a coffin drop on free TV. I love Darby Allin. Yeah, you give that stuff away on free TV. It's kind of like, maybe save it for the big show. Because like, what does he do if he gets a big match on a big show? Like how much bigger can you get than getting thrown down a legitimate concrete flight of stairs, and going through this coffin with the little bit of margin of error that he had?
I don't know how you kind of top that unless you're going from higher, as I said, the higher distance from to the ground, or whether you're doing something more like a more crazy type of move off it. But I just wince every time I see him land. But he's a perfectionist, that's for sure.
His timing is very, very well, and he's precise. But in the end, I mean, like eventually you're gonna have that one time. Hopefully, it doesn't happen to him, but one time something may go wrong. It's just a lot of risks that are taken that he may not need to take because, like Nero said, he gets over just from the underdog factor alone, right? He doesn't have to always take these massive bumps because I think he can get over just by being the underdog and being that baby face from fighting from underneath at all times.
I agree.
Eddie was going to say, what about Sting's run in AEW? Dude, he's 61 years old. Also, a dream match was Taker versus Sting. Sting it's wrestling, and Undertaker is never retired, like we know. All right, so yeah, Sting, and I'm not a huge fan of Sting in AEW. I know why they're doing it. He's in part of the marketing stuff that they've been doing, like the games, also like the AEW like loot box that they got now. He's like the face of that. So I understand why he's there. Taker Sting, the match was never done. They had the chance, he just never pulled the trigger. It's a loss on WWE because that would have been a marquee match you could have main evented at WrestleMania with, but they just never chose to do it. I mean, Undertaker, I think he's like officially retired at this point, right? Unless he goes to the Hall of Fame, like I'm pretty sure he's officially just like retired right now. Yeah.
I still think they want to do a proper send off for him though. The Survivor Series one was a bit flat because there's no fans, so he might have one more match eventually. But yeah, I think he really wants to just quit really because of his injuries, nagging body and stuff like that. Probably the injuries for years and years of high risk matches, basically.
Yeah, and doing the prep too. I heard doing his prep, like leading up to the match is like rough on him. Saying Nation Dog, I'm hyped for Money in the Bank and Slammiversary. Yeah, it's gonna be a good weekend, man. You got 4 good stuff going on this weekend. You got SmackDown, Slammiversary, Money in the Bank, and then Monday Night Raw. It's gonna be all, and all have fans, so it's awesome stuff.
It's good. It's almost like the old times.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah. See Nation Dog, I think Big E and Alexa Bliss will win Money in the Bank contract. Want Big E to win it, but not Alexa Bliss to win because her Fiend gimmick is cringe. Anyone but Alexa. Yeah, see Nation Dog, not a huge fan of the Alexa gimmick, the Fiend Alexa gimmick. I know that definitely he's not a huge fan of that. But those are good picks. Those are solid picks. I mean, to be honest with you, like I can't really argue with those picks for Money in the Bank.
I think they're sensible.
It's like to be honest with you, it doesn't. We can't really do much of that stuff. Yeah. As long as he isn't doing the gross IWA light tube crap, I love it. Talking about Darby Allin. The light tube stuff is kind of over the top. Yeah, it's a little bit over the top. C Nation Dog, what if Undertaker comes out of retirement, goes to AEW, and we get Undertaker versus Sting? That's a pipe dream right there. I don't think it ever happened. I think they're gonna lock down Undertaker in one of those lifetime contracts where you get a ton of royalties. You're there showing up for like ambassador roles and contract autograph signings and press stuff. I think they got him locked down a lifetime contract.
Do you remember that time that he was going to go to StarCast and because it was a WWE event, Vince McMahon made him feel guilty? Imagine if he went to AEW. What would it be? Me, Mark Callis? They can't use the Undertaker trademark, so it would have to be me, Mark Callis versus the Undertaker versus Sting. Even it would be. I don't think it'd have the same glamour.
The marquee would just look off. It look kind of weird. He doesn't own the name. He can't use the gimmick. But yeah, StarCast. Yeah, he was supposed to be a StarCast, which was kind of weird when we first saw it, and then it just ended. They cut that down. It wasn't going down. I don't think it's gonna happen. Yeah, I don't think definitely won't happen. But it'd be pretty crazy. Even though I think he's the guy that's always been in the trenches for Vince McMahon through the whole Monday Night Wars, through his all time. That he has such a loyalty to Vince that I don't think he would ever do anything like that. Eddie, what about Sting running? Okay, we saw that one already. Sorry, talking about Impact Wrestling. No, it says WWE. No, don't worry about it. It's all good, bro.
All right, it's all good. It's all wrestling.
All wrestling, no worries. Nero, Sting is doing everything he can to put Darby over. Nobody can accuse him of not passing down the torch. I like the pairing. Okay, that's an interesting one to tick by Nero right there. All right, so for me, I always see that as like father and son. Like that's how I feel about Darby and Sting. I see Sting there and I see Darby there. It's like his father bringing his son down with him to the ring.
Yeah, I agree. I think this has been really, really good. I think the rub, as you said, from sort of Sting to Darby Allin's been really, really great. Sting hasn't really taken the limelight, and I think he's done a great job of elevating Darby Allin.
Well, in terms of like a mainstream type of thing, yeah, I think that's the whole point. Yeah, it makes sense. But for me, I just personally, I'm not a huge fan of. For me, like when they're always just together all the time, it feels like father and son type of thing, and I'm not a huge fan of that. But I understand the whole pairing. I understand the rub he's getting off, and no, you cannot accuse of him of not passing down the torch because obviously that's what he's trying to do with Darby Allin.
I agree.
Yeah. Sting actually fight Taker about 20 years ago, but they fight in WCW. But they fight with the real life names. I mean, only Taker Mark Calloway versus Sting, and Sting win.
That would have been when Undertaker was mean Mark Callis back in 1990, probably. That's kind of the time period he's saying. Yeah, quite possibly might have happened, but I'd love to see the footage of that. If I can try and find the footage of that, that'll be something fun to watch. Really. Yeah,
it'd be pretty interesting, right? Like what could have been if they would have done it 20 years later and stuff. Yeah. See Nation Dog, who do you think will be Falabal's tag team partner? Because TJP was taken out of the match. I hope that team does not win because we want Rich Swann and Willie Mack to win. How do you take that one, Josie?
I think it's probably going to be like somebody like sort of Wesley Blake or somebody like that. I think this would be a great opportunity for them to bring in somebody like as a mystery entrant. But yeah, I'm not an aficionado of Impact Wrestling. I do watch parts of it, but yeah, it's not something I've watched a lot of, really, to be fair. But I could guess.
Yeah. Steve, hey Steve, how's it going? SCW, what's up, guys? Hope you're both well. Shame we never got to take our Sting dream match. What are some other dream matches you wish we could have seen?
There's quite a few. I think I'd love to have seen Chris Jericho and Owen Hart. I think that could have been good. I think Eddie Guerrero and Karrion Kross could have been fun. That's another good one. And I also think Karrion Kross versus Brock Lesnar could also be a good one that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Karrion Kross versus Brock Lesnar. For me, Riddle versus Brock is a dream match, to be honest with you, because they both have the MMA backgrounds. I think it'd be a lot of fun, that match. What else? I always wish we probably could have seen, maybe HBK and Rock. That's one we never really got to see, like a feud between the two of them. Yeah,
so good.
That one. What else could there be? Obviously, Sting, Taker. At the top of my head, I'm trying to think of anything crazy like that.
Did you say HBK and The Rock?
Yeah, HBK and The Rock. Yeah, that was HBK and The Rock. Yeah, that one's like one you kind of wish you would have seen.
What about the Macho Man and Drew McIntyre?
That would have been cool.
That'd be unorthodox, I know, but
yeah, that'd be kind of it'd be out there, but it'd be pretty cool to have it happen. I would love to have seen, like, maybe. To be honest with you, I can't even think. Sid versus like maybe a Drew McIntyre, something like that. Psycho Sid versus Drew McIntyre or something like that. I think that would have been pretty cool. I'm really more of a character guy more than an in-ring. Like I'm a big, like, when it comes to like that, I'm like big into characters and the whole package of a wrestler rather than stuff in the ring. So like for me, it's not even the match, it's just the characters facing each other. So like for me, like a Drew McIntyre, like you got Psycho Sid versus the Scottish Psychopath, I think would have been pretty cool. That'd like billing if you put it together like that. Yeah,
I think Bret Hart, Drew McIntyre could have been one as well. That could have been great.
Yeah, another one as well. Yeah, another one there as well. To be honest, I think like maybe even Braun Strowman versus a Bret Hart, because Bret has always been like, I always love Bret's title runs because it was always like him versus the bigger guys. Like you take on Bam Bam, you take on Sid, you take on Vader, Taker, bigger guys. So him versus, like, I think Lesnar versus Bret Hart would be an awesome matchup as well.
It would be amazing.
Yeah. C Nation, your predictions for Slamversity would say predictions for Money in the Bank, but you already did it. Yeah, exactly. SCW, I always wanted Austin versus Rock versus Triple H, triple threat. That's when we're supposed to get Survivor Series 1999. Yeah, I mean, that would have been awesome.
That'd have been amazing.
Yeah, it would have been a great triple threat between those three guys. Let's see, Adam Buck, greetings from Canada. Hey, Adam, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Would you like to see a proper John Cena versus Undertaker match?
If we have had it though, we had it when they're in their primes. I know that they're at different levels now, the totem pole and stuff like that. But yeah, not now. I think Undertaker really shouldn't be doing proper matches. Sorry to be
at this point, yeah, definitely not. Yeah.
So negative, though.
Yeah. Martin Carrillo, hey Martin, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. With Balor now part of the SmackDown roster, is Cross going to Raw? Is an interesting question.
I think he's imminently going to go up. Obviously, clearly WWE have given him a load of dark matches and stuff like that. He's got to drop the belt first, though. Obviously, they're going to do this Samoa Joe Karrion Kross match, I believe. That's obviously going to happen at one of the takeovers. But yeah, I can see Karrion Kross going to Raw. I think that's a good shout.
Yeah, that's definitely, yep. Eddie, Taker and Sting have opportunity to fight at WrestleMania 31, but Sting faced Triple H and Taker faced Wyatt. Yeah, that's the issue right there. Like that was the perfect time for them to do it. Perfect time was that point, and they didn't pull the trigger on it.
Yeah, it was definitely. I agree with you.
Yeah. Oh, going back to Karrion Kross. Yes, they got to get the title off of him first to get to Raw, but that's like may happen by the draft, maybe. So maybe SummerSlam. If there's a takeover by SummerSlam weekend, maybe that happens then.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is the point. If Karrion Kross doesn't lose to Samoa Joe, who's he going to lose to unless it's triple threat?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This guy's unbeatable.
Yeah. Nero, going back to the AEW surprise, I can't wait for Lana to show up. Miro's run has been legendary. Yes, I want to talk about Miro real quick. So Miro's run has been really well done since he, kicked Kip Sabian to the side. The Miro we should have got since the start. Now, will Lana show up and will they pair the two together?
I think she'll show up, but they shouldn't pair them together. I think Miro needs to be as a solo act. I think Lana kind of walks him down a bit, but it could be fun. Maybe if she does it, but maybe maybe she could cost him eventually if they do that. But I think keep Miro single.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, at this point, yeah, with this characters the way they are now, if it was back how she was Russian, she had the accent, it was very like Rocky IV-esque, Ivan Drago-esque, made sense. But if she just come back as like regular, just CJ Perry, and she comes out normal, yeah, I think it'll kind of ruin what they got going with Miro. Martin Carrillo, expecting any more call-ups to Raw this Monday?
I don't think this Monday there won't be call-ups. There's obviously people doing dark matches. There's a variety of people that have been doing dark matches, but no call-ups on Monday. There was somebody we said earlier in the video that's going to be on Raw Monday. We can repeat that if you want to.
Yeah, go
In
ahead.
case you might have missed it. Goldberg's on Raw Monday. That's kind of I don't know if that's good or bad news for people, really.
That's kind of probably in the middle, probably for most people. Yeah. Team Nation, I would like to see Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship next year at SummerSlam. With winner gets Paul Heyman. I wish they put Paul Heyman on a poll. Who knows?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I know that there's been a great talk of the reason why they haven't wanted to do Brock Lesnar, Bobby Lashley at the moment is they think it will take away from the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match. They think it'll water it down slightly, but for me, it has to happen at some point. And I think Paul Heyman and Roman, I think, is just a winning combination. You don't break them up.
Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, definitely not. Now, Adam breaks up two good ones. Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle. Banger of a match right here. This would have been because you saw Shawn Michaels versus Kurt Angle was a banger of a match. Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle would have been a banger of a match. And then he brings up Yoko. Now, Yoko versus Roman Reigns would be an awesome match to me.
It'd be interesting, definitely.
Yeah, Yokozuna was a tremendous performer, and especially at his size. Great stuff. I was a big Yoko guy. Yeah,
I think going back to what Adam said, I think if you put Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig against Kurt Angle, that would also have been incredible as well.
That's great stuff. Yeah, definitely great.
We could go all night with these. There's so many good matches.
Yeah, there's so many good matches you could have done. But yeah, but that's a good call. Mr. Perfect versus Kurt Angle would have been awesome. Yeah, good stuff. Even Mr. Perfect versus like Dolph Ziggler, or you know, you could get a Brett versus a Ziggler as well. It's it's solid matchups right there. Eddie, dream match Triple H versus Michaels. One last match between these two, and both retire afterwards. I mean, yeah, you can do it. I mean, you can do it now. I mean, it makes sense. Even though I can't see Shawn Michaels wrestle when he doesn't have long hair, it looks just weird to me. So I
think they've kind of been put off by the whole thing when they had that match with the Undertaker. Match, yeah. The Saudi Arabia's kind of scared them a little bit, but Triple H did have a match against Randy Orton, although it didn't go very long.
Yeah, it didn't. CNN Nation Dog says WWE better make Raw good or the fans will boo the show. Yes, I think I've been optimistically saying that they've been holding out because they haven't had fans, and they're really going to kind of hype it, kind of ramp everything up when they have fans for Monday Night Raw.
I think the plan is generally to bring people back, so they're going to bring big names back to try and get the fans interested again. Yeah. But I think it's good. A lot of the CGI stuff that we've been seeing that's just really, really kid-like is gone. Will potentially have been gone. So we're going to be going back to hopefully more gritty storylines, which is what I love that in wrestling. I think that's one of the things that's missing quite often, where we just have rematch after rematch and there's no real point to it. I think we're no longer going to see that. Hopefully we'll see matches that have got a meaning behind them instead of just rematches, really.
Yeah, exactly. Just what you're hoping for going forward. Nero, Brett versus The Rock in 99 would have been crazy if Hart would have stayed heel. Hart versus face. Rock would have sort of definitely. That's a great call. That's definitely Bret Hart versus The Rock. Yeah, it would have been at that point in time. It would have been a great time. Yeah, great. See Nation Dog. Sometimes do you get worried when you want someone to win really bad, but it looks like they're going to lose? I have before.
I had that. I had that earlier in the year, like January Royal Rumble, when it was Drew and Goldberg. Like every time Goldberg had any offense, I was like, "Oh my god, please no!" I just couldn't bear to look. I was almost falling off the sofa. Yeah, no, that's the roughest thing where you're like worried that the guy you really want to win, you're thinking he's gonna win, but you kind of have that doubt in the back of your mind, like, damn, he might lose this. So yeah, I get exactly what you're talking about. Mark Carrillo go on and say, would you guys like to see Jeff Hardy versus Roman Reigns? I think that moment's gone. I think that boat's gone. Even though Jeff Hardy's getting his new theme music on Raw, that'll probably come in the coming weeks.
Yeah, probably.
For me, Jeff Hardy's just like here now. Although he's a legend, he's never going to be the level of Roman Reigns. It's a fun match, but there's only one winner really. Again, it's pretty pointless, really. Yeah, it's a match that has like an outcome that you already know how it's gonna be. So if you wanted to do it, like maybe for like a TLC pay-per-view, so you could have Jeff do a big bump or something like that, then okay, maybe. But you beat a few people first, other than Elias. Exactly. Yeah, he's got to beat a few guys before he gets to that level. Even then, when he gets to that level, it's not a guy you think he's actually gonna beat. That's the problem with that. That's the problem when you have a guy like Reigns. Yeah, it's good. It's catch-22. It's really good because how awesome he is and how good he is at what he's doing. But then it's the bad part is like you don't really have anybody kind of to work with him, believably work with him, anyways. Eddie going to say people don't understand that John Cena versus Taker would be one of the best 10 years ago. Imagine Taker versus Cena at WrestleMania versus in streak versus career match. If they would have done that, it would have made total sense, right? Like streak versus career when it comes to a match like that. If the streak would have still been intact, I mean, there's stuff they could have done if the streak. I'm not a huge I like the fact that Taker lost streak to Lesnar because it made sense in the coming years because Lesnar went on a massive tear after that, and Lesnar seems the most realistic person to actually beat the streak. But again, there's so many matchups you could have had after the fact that the streak wasn't broken. I agree. It's one of them things. Yeah, it's like one of the you're damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing. Yeah.
C Nation Dog, hope Karrion Kross loses the NXT champion because not like him, anyone but Carrie.
You're going to see him a lot on the main roster when he comes up, that's for sure.
Exactly, yeah. Adam says, Miro won me over big time. Yeah, no, Miro, since he left Kip Sabian, do that to the side, it's been great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, like legitimate great stuff, entertaining dude. If you see him like personally, like in his other stuff that he does outside of wrestling, very entertaining guy. So good shout out to him. Eddie, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns versus CM Punk is also a dream match. Those three guys in the ring. I mean, they can still do it. CM Punk's the only outlier there, but they can still do the match. He says, imagine if Roman Reigns spears Yokozuna, this would never happen. Laughing my ass off. Yeah, I mean, it'd be pretty cool. Like Reigns versus him, you got the family lineage in there. I think it'll be cool stuff, to be honest with you. And you can even have, like, if Yoko's still around, you could have the Usos kind of like behind him. You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. So it's like the whole family aspect. You could even bring in Rikishi, Uso's dad. So you could, there's a lot of stuff you could do with that if he was, if he was still around. C Nation Dog, would you like to see more unpredictable stuff in WWE? Because we know a lot of the SummerSlam matches already. Reigns versus Cena, Goldberg versus Lashley, and Rollins versus Edge.
I think the card picks itself. The thing is, obviously, it's pretty obvious a lot of what they're going to do, but there's still a few matches that we don't know. Like, obviously, the Intercontinental title is probably going to be up for stakes. United States title, the tag team title actually on Raw is obvious. That one, I think we all know that's going to probably be Arcade Bro versus AJ Styles and Omos. I think that's an obvious match really for me. But yeah, a lot of the main matches kind of pick themselves, which is good. It's good to have that order, though. I think really.
Yeah, it is definitely. Before we get to the rest of the comments, I want to get to the last thing we had on the topics list. 13, final Money in the Bank outlook. Jonesy, started off.
Yeah, this one is very, very spoiler heavy. I would suggest if you don't want a risk of ruining the Money in the Bank pay-per-view for yourself, mute for a minute. So the Money in the Bank, obviously we do know that the men's one, it looks very stacked. There's a lot of people, but there's two people that are set to win it at the moment. There's two people that are set to win it. And the two people that are currently set to win it are either Matt Riddle or it's going to be Big E. The two story arcs with them both are as follows. If Big E does win it, he's expected to be traded to Raw. He'll then seek revenge on Bobby Lashley for destroying Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. That's kind of the route they're going to go down. And Big E will take the belt off of Lashley eventually. It will then lead to Lashley getting the belt back, which does get to Lashley versus Lesnar. That's kind of the long-term aim, basically, they want to do. Potentially at WrestleMania next year. The other one, this one is a scary one. Strap yourselves in for this one. The other person's Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle has a good chance of winning. If he does win it, we would look to see Goldberg beat Lashley at SummerSlam, and then Riddle cashing in on Goldberg. The reason why they'll do that is following up the Twitter heat. There's real Twitter heat between Goldberg and Riddle, and they want to kind of pop the fans. They want to kind of send one over to the fans. So Riddle will ultimately beat Goldberg and get the belt. What do you think of both of them two? I'm really hoping it's option one.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's option one too, but option two is kind of interesting because there's continuity involved there. And I'm a big continuity guy. Like for me, like if you tie up loose ends and loose storylines and stuff that's been out there in the ethos, if you can tie that stuff up in the end, I think it works out. But again,
Goldberg beating Lashley, can you imagine that? A whole year's worth of build in the bin.
That's the problem. That's the problem right there. It's like Lashley actually losing to Goldberg is the actual problem you run into. Now, there's other ways around it. Yes, because you eventually try to get it in a different way. Yeah, it could possibly happen. But yeah, that's the problem. Maybe maybe it's SummerSlam. During the match, Riddle cashes in, makes it a triple threat, pins Lashley or something like that, and then Goldberg has his right to get a match against Riddle, and that's how you kind of make it happen if you want to go down that route. But the problem is getting the belt off of Lashley, and Goldberg is not the guy. He's not that guy, pal, to win that title. Like that's the problem.
That would be exactly the same thing as what he did to Kevin Owens and The Fiend. The minute they lost to Goldberg, the whole momentum. This is a Lashley that has barely lost this year. He hasn't lost in ages. He's been built so strong. On a positive, I think they're going to go for option one. I think Big E's the pick, really. I think Big E to win the Money in the Bank. I think that's out there, and I think he's probably going to win the Money in the Bank. Yeah,
and I touched on this on my SmackDown review last night. It was the fact that they're giving kind of a swerve a little bit, kind of a juke, is to his build not being that great, Big E, the past month or so, and him taking the pin in that fatal four-way against Seth Rollins, Shinsuke, and Kevin Owens, kind of swerving you a little bit, giving you the juke that you think that he's not going to win.
They even started the work with Big E, kind of, and Roman Reigns. There's that tease, obviously, on SmackDown as well that was very small. But for me, Big E and Lashley is going to be a great match if it happens.
Yeah, definitely. He's got to get off of SmackDown, get over to Raw, and get with his New Day guys. He needs to be around them. They just need to be around each other. They're attached to the hip, whether they like it or not. However successful they continue to be, they're attached to the hip for the rest of their careers.
Yeah, it's definitely. If we go into the women's one, this one as well, this is one or two people again. I think this isn't confirmed or anything like that, but the one or two, logically, based on WWE television, it's got to be Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan clearly has got this sort of underdog story that's going on. Sonya Deville's due to come back to the ring. I think that'll be a program. So Liv Morgan's probably the one. The only other one it could be is probably Alexa Bliss. We'll see what that is. But for me, I think Liv Morgan's the much more kind of marketable one, really, for me. I think it's the one that makes sense based on what I've been watching every single week.
Yeah, in terms of storyline and kind of continuing the storyline, she makes the most sense out of everybody because she's really the only person that has actual storyline kind of built into it. And it does make sense. Whether she gets it or not, that's another thing. The only real name that seems like viable to win it just on name value alone is Alexa Bliss. We may get surprised and Nikki Ash is the person that kind of comes.
We could do. It might be a nice surprise, but then is it Otis all over again? Is it somebody that's not going to go the course that they've got no belief in? They're just chucking them out there.
Could be they go down that same route again. I'm not sure. They want to get people they want to have good reactions at the show. They don't want people to get booed, I think, for the fans being there. So I think they'll go with safe picks. Nero, if Raw isn't good, they'll just pump fake noises into the arena like they always do. True story. On the replays, they will pump fake noise. They cut out boos. They add cheers. We've seen that before, and they'll continue to do it.
They will, unfortunately.
Chris Wrestling, what's up, Chris? Thank you for joining us, man. I hate those predictable matches. We all do, dude. We all hate those predictable matches, and they do it a lot. Martin Carrillo, since there wasn't any unique set on SmackDown, will we see newer ones on once the draft concludes? I like the set. It was kind of like the WrestleMania 35 set. Was just a big screen. That's all it really was. I like it. I think it's grandiose and kind of over the top with just how big the screen is. You could do a lot of stuff with it when they had especially with Cesaro's entrance. If you saw his it's a full massive picture of Cesaro and kind of switching. I like that. I thought it was pretty cool. I want to see if Raw and SmackDown are different. That's what I'm most interested by.
I think it's just going to be the same. I think the screen is the new set. Gone are the days of giant sets with fists and all this. I don't think they're going to do that anymore because of the traveling show. But for me, it's just a big screen. It's just a big Tron. That's kind of what it is. But I think Raw will be exactly the same. I don't think it'll be much different.
It kind of sucks. I'm a big set guy. I'm interested in the sets a lot. Yeah, I hope so too. I hope they have very different sets of those shows feel different. Because remember they did that in the beginning when they first did the 2016 draft split. Each show looked different, like aesthetically. They changed things up to make them look different. So I hope they do the same. I kind of hope they go back to theme pay-per-view sets like they used to, instead of just these generic ones that have just nothing to it and they look kind of just like Raw and SmackDown. Eddie here says Austin versus Goldberg 20 years ago. Also good when match never happened. Yes, the two guys that were mistaken for each other in airports during that time period. It would have been awesome stuff to see the two of these guys go. Not saying the match would have been good, a good match, match wise, but just the two guys top of the respective, companies would have been awesome stuff.
100%.
C Nation Dog fans on SmackDown made it better, but felt weird because so used to the Thunderdome. Gonna take a little time getting used to it. It's weird how that happens, right? Now you're used to empty arenas that now you're kind of like, it feels kind of weird having fans.
It's so good to everything seems bigger.
Yes. Everything feels like more like it felt like a big show. It felt like a pay-per-view. C Nation Dog says, I'd rather see Roman Reigns versus Goldberg for the Universal Championship over Goldberg versus Bobby Lashley for the Universal Champion for the WWE Championship.
Yeah, because we know Goldberg's not winning, so I'm a fan of that.
Definitely. Yeah, Goldberg's not winning that one. That's for sure. So there's no doubt in that one. Nero, you guys are talking about the 1-2 anxiety attack, LOL, when you don't want your wrestler to lose and it makes you jump up when they kick out at 2.5. Yes, exactly. Yes. And
I think the worst one is when there's multiple finishes as well. That and then there's a slow kick out. It's just, oh my God. There's 3 or 4 finishes in the first 10 minutes of a match. It's what else can I kick out of?
It's like gut wrenching at that point. You're kind of like, damn, but you get to that point. It's fun stuff though. Like when that happens, it's fun because it really gets you invested in the product. Roman Reigns should have broke the Undertaker streak, then turn heel and be the tribal chief and attack the Undertaker after the match. It's a good solid take, storyline wise, but I think everything worked out perfectly in the end. The way it is now, I think everything worked out the way it should have.
Roman Reigns heel turn's the best thing to come out the Thunderdome era in WWE.
And remember, when he beat the Undertaker at WrestleMania and got booed out of the building the next night, that's stuff that it sits in people's minds. And then when you finally give them what they want, it's just that much better.
What I would say as well is they did right on Roman Reigns. This heel turn, they should have done it on John Cena ages and ages ago. Didn't do it on John Cena. They pulled the plug on Roman Reigns, which was exactly the right thing to do for once.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Adam, who is Daniel Bryan wrestling?
Nobody. He's a free agent.
Yeah, we'll see where he ends up. It should be pretty interesting, that whole storyline when that kind of gets down to the nitty gritty and where he's going to end up. Pretty interesting. C Nation Dog, really want Rich Swan and Willie Max win tag team titles. I have a feeling that they will. Champions, but worry that they not having a feeling that they will have a feeling they won't. But still, that's my prediction. I mean, I really hope they win for you, dude. I mean, exciting. I mean, like I said, I want that Triple Crown Rich Swan thing. That's a cool achievement for him to have. I'm a Rich Swan fan. I like him. He's cool. So that'd be pretty cool for him to happen. Eddie, I remember when Matt Riddle called out Brock Lesnar and Goldberg, WTF Goldberg will kill him in 3 seconds.
I think he will. I know Goldberg's huge. Like Riddle's got MMA skills. There's a video of Riddle kind of with one kick knocking somebody out. That's a really brutal kick that's going around. But I think Riddle wins that fight.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's
against Goldberg, not against Lesnar, obviously.
No, it's different. That's different. Yeah, but legitimately, like Riddle's in the UFC, has UFC experience, mixed martial arts experience. Goldberg has, but just in the training aspect. So yeah, the Goldberg thing I'm not agreeing with, but the Brock thing, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Someone called me Alexa Bliss hater over not liking the Fiend gimmick. That makes no sense. That's like you say not like big dog Roman Reigns, but you're still a fan of Roman Reigns.
People obviously get behind who they want. I get it. It's nothing wrong with being passionate about the rest you support and who you like and who you want, but it's just fun. That's the thing. It should be serious.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be. But like, I understand. Like, yeah, you just don't like the Fiend gimmick, and maybe Alexa Bliss fan and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm a Roman Reigns guy. I like Roman Reigns. I just didn't like the whole big dog way they were booking him. It was terrible. Like,
it was Hulk Hogan like, wasn't it? Let's be fair. It was very childlike.
Yeah,
if I was a 6-year-old again, I'd have been like, great, Roman Reigns, woo woo. But then when
that's why all of his fans were like kids and women because of his, the way he looks. Obviously for the women and the kids because of that. Though he's catering to kids, just like John Cena.
Yeah, definitely, I agree with you, mate.
Yeah, same thing. Eddie, what if Khabib and Nurmagomedov from UFC came to WWE to face John Cena, laughing my ass off?
Khabib is winning.
That'd be so strange. Yeah, Khabib can't lose, right? You can't lose that.
You can't lose.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But it'd be really weird. What if for no reason have Retribution versus the Nexus 8? I mean the Nexus 8 versus 8 match. Oh my god.
There's two angles there. One that was executed beautifully but had a crap finish. The second one, which is Retribution, one of the worst things to come out of the Thunderdome, I'm afraid. It
had a promising start, though,
it did have a promising start, but then a true story behind that's the story as well, Anthony, when this one is WWE, it got leaked out they were coming, and WWE changed things up and they were panicking. They couldn't keep up with the leaks. They should have just done the angle and carried it on. They should have known who was in the stable before it started. You look at Aces and Eights in Impact Wrestling TNA, it was done so. Did you see Aces and Eights?
Yes.
Yeah, it was done so well. The thing is, if you've got a masked group and you've got a long-term plan, you should know who your leader is and stuff like that. You should know the members. You shouldn't be making it up as you go along. Going from 25 members 1 week on SmackDown to just 5, where's the 20 people? It's just small things like that. How can you get behind it?
Yeah, that's total like common sense, like booking right there, right? Like, yeah, you had all those people that were there, and then it only ends up being 5 of them in the end. And then the fact that they were there to destroy WWE, but that they got an exclusive Raw contract made no sense either.
If you want to see a proper rant video, there's a 20-minute rant video I've done on my channel. That's really one of my first videos on YouTube. If you want a good laugh and you're bored, go and look at that. I'll get really angry over Retribution.
Yeah, check that out on Jonesy's channel, man, because like Retribution was a mess. Martin Carrillo, now that has been a few weeks of WWE making changes, do you guys feel the rosters a bit fresh, or does it need more names?
We need the draft.
We need the draft. Yeah, we do need the draft. I think it's more names for the upper card. They need guys like that are a stable of guys, like 3 to 4 guys that are all viable champions at any moment in time.
I think the thing with it, Anthony, is we've had this whole time in the Thunderdome, and they built very little new stars besides Matt Riddle and a few others. They need to be having this long-term plan. If they want to say they want to push Xavier Woods to the next big thing, they need to be working on him in the next 6 months, giving him wins and wins and wins. You then have Xavier Woods ready to challenge Bobby Lashley. You know what I mean? He's not just been put in a match by winning one match, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, that's long-term booking, right? But they seem like they're doing everything by the seat of their pants. They're just like, oh, okay, this week
they make it up.
This week, they make it up as they go. That's the problem. Yeah. Silk, hey Silk, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. Sorry guys, don't know if you covered this. Thoughts on the pipe crowd audio last night was really obvious in places last night. I
want to give Silk a big shout out. He's the one that did the fantastic intro and thumbnail. So thank you very much, Silk. I appreciate that. But no, the audio noise, they're still going to pipe in. I imagine if Roman Reigns was getting cheered, I think they'd hate that.
In terms of so the way that people are supposed to behave when they're kind of when it comes to heels and baby faces, it makes sense. Yeah. Adam, free agent. Well, he had a good run in WWE.
He did.
I mean, he did. Yeah, I think he's gonna stay. I think he's gonna stick around. To be honest with you, Adam, I don't think he's gone for good. To be honest with you.
No, hopefully not.
Mark Carrillo, can luchadors, Latino wrestlers really succeed in WWE? Why didn't WWE push guys like Andrade or even Angel Garza? This is the problem. Okay, I am Hispanic myself, so I speak Spanish. I'm fluent in both languages. when it comes to luchadors, the fact that they have a mask is the problem. So you have guys like individuals like Rey Mysterio who get over despite the mask, just because his size generally is what really got him over. And he was like the first guy that everybody kind of saw mainstream doing all these crazy flips. I know you had Dynamite versus Tiger Mask, that match that everybody kind of goes back to, but you had him as being one of those guys. When it comes to Andrade, the fact that he doesn't speak English well enough, I think that hurts him in the long run, because you can do that in sports, because you see baseball, a lot of guys are Hispanics, they don't speak really well in English, they have interpreters and stuff like that. In wrestling, it doesn't really come across as good, because it's all talk in wrestling. It's all about the promo. So he can't cut him really on his own, because he doesn't speak English that well. Now, they don't want to do the subtitle things like how AEW does. Angel Garza, I just don't think they believed in him in that much. For me, Santos Escobar is that guy that can eventually be a success in WWE. That's the only thing I see in it. But the problem is the language barrier. It does hurt. Like when the guys come from Japan, the language barrier hurts. Asuka, it hurts her, the language barrier. It does, because in wrestling, it's all about the promo.
Do you believe what Vince Russo once said, that because the person's not from America, we don't care, the fans don't care? It's very controversial to have that kind of opinion. But for me, I think if you look at Latino wrestlers, the last one I'd say that truly got over is Bad Bunny, and that was a cup of tea run. And you look at it like this, the only other one I'd say that's really got over in WWE is Eddie Guerrero. He's the one that did go to that level of being a world champion and stuff like that. I think the problem is that we've always looked at these luchadors as cruiserweight wrestlers based on what we've seen in WCW. I think that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yes. That is true. They have the stigma of being cruiserweight luchador, being a cruiserweight style. They're smaller in stature. Eddie Guerrero got over because of entertainment value and his charisma, his character. That's what got him over. All the funny stuff, the entertaining stuff that he did, it made sense in that point. That's as to why he got to that level he got to. Rey, like I said, Rey's another guy. He got to that level because of his small stature. He was the fighting babyface, a fun guy you get behind, colorful costumes and all that stuff like that. That stuff you got, but he had the mask. It's tough. For me, it's mostly the language barrier. Now, the take from Vince Russo is an interesting one. I think to some fans in America were kind of like, yeah, he doesn't come from here. We don't really care because we haven't seen him previously. That's the thing. I think it's more we haven't seen him previously because he's wrestled a long time in Mexico or Japan. We haven't paid attention to it. I think it's more of that.
I think the fact that WWE doesn't really consider any other past experience outside WWE as well.
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah, that because Vince McMahon does not care what you've done outside WWE whatsoever. He will not promote any of it for the most part and kind of just get you going as he see fits. All right, so let's get to these last few comments and then wrap this one up. See Nation Dog, I like babyface Roman Reigns because I was a kid at the time. You have to understand. So I have a soft spot for babyface. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. That's what he was catered for. He was catered for kids. That's what it was. That's what it was about. Same thing for John Cena, like we said.
I think it's the same thing when I was a kid. I used to like the Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior. Show my age. I used to really like the Ultimate Warrior, even though I'm green and awful in the ring.
Same thing. Yeah, same thing. Like I didn't care about any of the other stuff. It was just like the character you fell in love with. Yeah, as a kid. C Nation, Shawn Michaels and God versus the McMahons. Remember that one? Yes, I remember that one fondly. It was pretty funny stuff. Mark Carrillo, why hasn't WWE justified Jeff Hardy's run at WWE ever since returning in 2017?
Because they don't see anything in him. They look at him as Jeff Hardy. He's never really they don't look at him as anything but a Mikado. He should be with Elias and Jackson Reich and them lot, unfortunately, which is a shame. This guy's talented, but I think every time he's kind of left WWE, besides the broken mat stuff, I think he's kind of gone a bit watered down.
Yes, definitely. I think I would agree with that one too. C Nation Dog, Angel Garza has had a weird WWE career because every single time he gets a push, he's taken off of TV. LOL. He could just be one of those guys who's just not fond of personally, or he just has issues with people in the backstage, like writers and stuff like that. As to why
it's a shame.
Yeah, it's probably a lot of politicking going on back there. Eddie, Jeff Hardy versus Finn Balor is a good match. Yeah,
it'd be fun
if they do it for like an Intercontinental title or something like that. It'd be fun.
Definitely.
C Nation Dog, always see you. Sometimes I see you, brother, but a lot of times I see you. LOL. Not sure what he means by that one.
Sounds like a Razor Ramon promo or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, sounds like it. How do you feel about the draft being reportedly moved to the start of October? Then they have Survivor Series so close after where they try to push two-brand loyalty with guys that haven't been there long. That makes a ton of sense. If that's the case, that's dumb as hell in terms of like common sense aspect that you're pushing the brand. Like, oh, I got brand loyalty. I'm fighting for my brand. You just got there like a week ago.
The whole brand loyalty thing with Survivor Series is in the bin. Like, it doesn't matter. Survivor Series will just be singles matches and a few odd matches. Like the whole thing of draft versus draft. There's no draft rivalry. People turn up on Smackdown and Raw like willy-nilly, it seems.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. Yeah. Now the thing is, I think it died on arrival because you keeping a score but nothing comes of it afterwards. There's no bragging rights. There's no punishment, nothing like that. So it's like stupid. Hopefully they can book the Gala Fantasma correctly because Escobar could be massive. Yes, agree with you. He is massive. I mean, the fact that he can speak such well English, very charismatic, a good looking guy, he has a lot to him, a bravado to him, an arrogance to him. I think it's a good stuff that can, because remember, you can hit two markets there. You hit the English speaking market and the Spanish speaking market. It's two massive markets that you can hit with one character. And I think if they book him correctly, especially with a group like Legado Fantasma, it makes a ton of sense. I think it'll work out.
100%.
Eddie Daniel Bryan from the man who in 2014 destroyed the whole authority, have a big rivalry with Triple H and Stephanie, Vince McMahon. And in 2019, he worked as well with Vince McMahon. That's interesting. Work with the whole family. I mean, just running through the whole family pretty much.
Why not?
And Martin Carrillo, Sin Cara had the potential, but his botches were really bad. And maybe that was the reason he never got pushed or even over that guy was even given hype promos to deliver so low. Yeah, I think him, Sin Cara, not Sin Cara, I'm sorry, Sin Cara and what was it? Kalisto was another guy that they were going to push like a Rey Mysterio type. It's just, I guess it just wasn't what they wanted there to kind of push him forward. But yeah, Sin Cara was just botch after botch after botch. Yeah.
Agreed.
Eddie, the Hurt Business versus the Shield, good dream match. Yes, if the Hurt Business would have stayed around, I mean, that would have been pretty cool to have those guys go at it. That is awesome stuff there. C Nation Dog, I mean, on your reviews, I see you, the other guy. Oh, the other guy is my brother, right? So I just kind of ask him to kind of do the reviews for me, kind of help me out. The channel is actually technically mine. I'm the one that does everything on the channel. The reviews, I just asked my brother to help me out to have a two-man thing going back and forth. Martin, don't you guys agree to when AJ Styles and The Fiend felt so unique and special when they were on SmackDown and Raw? They don't feel like it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the thing with it is Raw. It's just the sheer volume of the show, the length of time, like so many hours of television.
Yes,
that it overexposes them probably.
It does, yeah. Especially The Fiend, if you use him so much, it kind of overexposes. That's the thing with Bray Wyatt in the beginning, let him talk too much, that to the point where he's kind of rambling. You're kind of like, what the hell is the guy even talking about? AJ Styles, it's just the way they've booked him. Now currently they want him to be the kind of fall guy for Omos, to build up Omos. He takes all the bumps and does everything, makes the match look kind of nice, and he kind of just comes in and kind of destroys everybody and stuff like that. It's just, it haven't felt unique. I think AJ should have never moved to Raw. I think he should have just been a SmackDown guy. That's the place he built. I thought that lended itself perfectly to him, as that shows the place that he built.
Agreed.
If he just didn't have the issues with Paul Heyman, that he would have still probably been on SmackDown. C Nation Dog, I think 6-man tag team match should have main evented SmackDown because Roman is the main eventer. That's an interesting take. I thought they were going to main event it too, but then when it came out, I was like, all right, the fans are there. You want to give them the first match, the first little bit of action, have Roman Reigns out there. That's why they did it.
I think you made some great points. I think the fact they wanted Roman Reigns to get every action first.
Yes, and Edge as well. Yeah. Silk, imagine Kalisto was in a feud with Braun Strowman once. Yeah,
could have been
right.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So like, so I'm saying, like they were building him like to be the next Rey Mysterio. Is what it felt like, but it just didn't really work out because that's what he pretty much was a carbon copy of like Rey Mysterio, and it just kind of felt like they were going to go that way with him. C Nation Dog, the Hurt Business should have stayed. The other year, they didn't break up. Yeah, they shouldn't have broke up. That was a stupid ass idea for them to break up. That was a terrible idea. Nation Dog, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt should have stayed on SmackDown when he was booked well. Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 2020.
Ultimately, what ruined the Fiend, let's be clear, was the fact that when he lost to Goldberg, that's what ruined the Fiend.
Yeah, definitely. That's what hurt him big time. That hurt him like right in the end. Yeah. C Nation Dog, Jeff Hardy also felt more special on SmackDown. SmackDown is just a better show. That's what it is. It's just the fact that, you know, the like you said, Jonesy, 3 hours is a lot of wrestling. It kind of waters everything down in the end. C Nation Dog, did fans cheer Roman Reigns on SmackDown? Couldn't tell. I couldn't tell either, to be honest with you. I don't know if I had the volume too low, but
I know that I know he put a finger up to the fans, like on the rampway. I don't know whether that was just he was told to do that, but that indicates the fans weren't playing ball, I reckon.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he has carte blanche. He kind of do whatever he wants, Roman Reigns. Yeah. Eddie, what about the Demon, Finn Balor versus the Fiend? Who you got?
I think the Demon. I think the Fiend has gone wherever he's gone. He's not the same. This is a guy that lost to Randy Orton with one RKO.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, totally. I agree with you as well. I think Demon has more value to it in the end than the Fiend does. Yeah. Martin Carrillo, I think WWE should have names stay on their brands instead of swapping them. Example, Ciampa on NXT. Sometimes it's for the better. Yes, I think some guys should just stay where they're at and not move. I think guys like Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa should just stay on NXT because I feel like they're not going to be used whatsoever on the main roster.
I agree with you. I think the fact is the problem is when these people come from NXT and they drop the surnames are dropped and stuff. It's just a nightmare.
Yeah, because you're already starting off on a wrong foot by having your whole like name cut in half. C Nation Dog, Kalisto could have been the next Rey Mysterio, but they have too much the same. Yeah, it was like you're just trying to copy at that point. That's probably maybe
I
what hurt
agree.
him the most. Yeah, C Nation Dog, everyone should want to be on SmackDown because they're booked so well. Way better than Raw, correct? Yeah, I don't know what the hell the difference is. Probably because one is on Fox and they got $1 billion invested in that one, or getting $1 billion. That's why they treat wrestlers book them better on there. The Freeman Barry Wyatt should have beat the Demon Finn Balor in his debut. Think about that one.
I think probably should have. It would make sense.
For a debut, yeah, probably makes sense, yeah. So do you think they have dropped Finn's NXT character and gone back to generic Finn? They did the Prince thing with the X and everything like that, so it's kind of say the same. Now, the way I would gauge it, if he starts smiling a lot, then they did away with it. He's back to generic Finn.
He's just in there, isn't he, for the sake of it? Again, as I said earlier.
If he's running around smiling, yeah. C Nation Dog, I think the old Finn is coming back because of commentary. I heard that they say Bullet Club, and they don't say that. They didn't say that on NXT, I think. SmackDown writers are better than Raw writers. True story. That is totally true. We'll see how Finn Balor ends up. But we're gonna wrap up the episode there. On that last comment. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate everybody for joining in the chat. Always fun time having everybody joining in the chat and giving all your questions and stuff like that. Really quickly, Martin Carrillo, I honestly prefer Prince Balor over Demon King. His promos are great. Yeah, I do as well. I think his run in NXT was really well done. And the Prince stuff is way better. I think they should keep it that way. I think he relies too much on the Demon when he's regular Finn Balor. I think it's always like you're just building towards the Demon in the end.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, that's what it is. But we appreciate everybody for tuning in. That's the Rasslin Report, episode number 2. We'll be back again next week for episode number 3. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you everybody for joining us in the comment section. All the wonderful stuff you guys said. Remember, rest of the channel if you haven't subbed yet. With me. Any last words?
No, it's been a great week. I hope everyone enjoys NXT. No, everyone enjoys Money in the Bank. Even though it's been a late night here, everyone enjoys Money in the Bank. Enjoy Slammiversary, and yeah, we'll be back next week with all the gossip.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you check out tomorrow night Money in the Bank. Right after, we're gonna do a live stream West Coast Pop reviewing Money in the Bank. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll catch you guys next time. Laters.